I'm sure you've seen the recent discourse online about biphobia, transphobia, and racism within the LGBTQ community, and seen the pushback deeming those critiques as infighting, divisive, or unproductive. Before I dive deep on this topic, and how reactionary discourse maintains oppressive systems like white supremacy, I want to offer my credentials. I've written extensively on topics such as marginalization, intersectionality, and social commentary since undergrad. That was 6 years ago. And now I do in-depth sociocultural analysis on Substack and YouTube, so if you want to check out more, go there. So the labeling of in-group critique as infighting is nothing new. This is something that's been historically prevalent across the civil rights movement, the feminist movement, and the queer liberation movement for decades. Historically, infighting describes conflict or rivalry between members of the same group, and in political and organizational contexts, it is frequently used to describe any conflict that detracts from a group's primary goals. Now, who defines those goals? Those in power. Sociological research suggests that labeling internal conflict as infighting often serves as a tool for maintaining group cohesion at the expense of addressing more systemic issues. Within marginalized movements, this labeling can have significant consequences for those in it. Labeling a critique as infighting or divisive or unproductive frames the act of criticizing as inherently destructive or irrational. This invalidates the substance of critique, whether it's sexual racism or the erasure of trans or non-binary identities. A study by the Psychology Press on group dynamics showed that groups often view deviant viewpoints, so those that challenge the status quo or address uncomfortable topics like racism, misogyny, or classism, as threats to the group's identity. Labeling these challenges as infighting acts as a form of social pressure to force people back into conformity. And I get it. The desire for a unified front against an out-group oppressor seems like a good thing, but it can create a culture where internal issues are viewed as taboo. When members attempt to address these internal issues, they're frequently accused of weakening the community's collective power, often resulting in a double minority experience, where those individuals face exclusion from the broader community while simultaneously experiencing systemic oppression from the outside world. Within the LGBTQ community, those in relative power, so white, cisgender, or monosexual members, meaning lesbians or gay people, may use the infighting label to silence those who point out how the movement's priorities or culture center their specific experience at the expense of others. This is very common in the critiques of white feminism, which universalizes the concerns of white Western women while ignoring intersecting oppressions such as racism, Islamophobia, or poverty faced by women of color, further perpetuating systems of white oppression and classism. You know how they say that conflict resolution tests the strength of a relationship? The same thing is true of social movements. Scholars argue that the ability of a movement to channel conflict into productive outcomes is often more important than the absence of conflict itself. So the next time you see someone talking about a valid critique of biphobia, transphobia, misogyny, or classism within a greater marginalized community, engage with it more meaningfully.